Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm excited to share with you another touching episode in the emotional journey of Lythica and Officer Hùng, a story of love, resilience, and faith amidst life's many challenges. In this episode, Hùng and Lythica begin their trip to the provincial hospital to have little Tony examined, a journey that may seem simple, yet is filled with worries, hopes, and moments that will surely touch your heart. Stay tuned to find out what the doctor says about Tony's condition, and what made Hùng and Lythica stand frozen in silence inside the clinic that day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support me in continuing to tell heartfelt stories like this one. Late in the afternoon, the last rays of sunlight faded behind rows of tall buildings. The golden glow of dusk spilled across the street, mingling with the haze of exhaust and the rush of traffic. Hung's motorbike slowed to a stop in front of the provincial hospital gate, where people were constantly coming and going. The air was thick with the sharp smell of disinfectant mixed with engine fumes, making Lythica feel slightly dizzy. Hùng parked neatly by the wall, turned to her, and spoke in a calm yet firm voice. "We're here. You get down first, I'll handle the paperwork. Take Tony inside, it's cooler there." Lythica nodded, tightening her arms around Tony's small body. The boy lay quietly in her arms, his round eyes staring curiously at the passing doctors in white coats and the cold neon lights hanging along the hallway. The light reflected off his soft cheeks, making them look almost translucent. She leaned down and whispered in his ear. "My little boy, the doctor will help you soon. Be brave, Tony." Her voice trembled, as if she was comforting herself more than her child. Their footsteps echoed softly against the white tile floor, blending with the hospital's distant announcements. "Pediatric Clinic Room 3, please bring in patient Nguyen Bao." The sound tightened something in Lythica's chest. She looked around. The corridor stretched endlessly ahead, rows of metal chairs already filled. Children cried, parents murmured anxiously, and the smell of antiseptic stung her senses. Hùng returned, holding a registration slip in his hand. "It's done. The doctor said we'll be called soon. Sit down and rest, I'll get some water." His tone was gentle, but his eyes never left Tony. The boy sat silently, not crying, not speaking, just gazing around with that strange, searching look. Lythica sat down, placed Tony on her lap, and gently wiped the sweat from his forehead. For a moment, her mother's words echoed in her mind. "Be careful, my dear. Whatever happens, hold on to your faith." The memory made her nose sting and her eyes blur. Just then, the clinic door opened. A young doctor in a white coat stepped out, his face kind, his voice calm and warm. "Are you Tony's parents? Please come in, I'll be examining him today." Hùng quickly nodded, stepping forward to shake his hand. "Yes, doctor. Our son is over 3 years old now, but he still hasn't started talking. We're hoping you can help us find out why." The doctor smiled and knelt slightly to meet Tony's gaze. "Hello, young man. Let's have a quick look, shall we?" The boy looked up at him with wide, dark eyes, but said nothing. His small hand only tightened its grip on his mother's sleeve. Lythica bent down, pressing her cheek gently against his forehead, whispering, "Don't be scared, sweetheart. Mommy's right here." She didn't know if she was speaking to him, or to herself, the mother who carried hundreds of questions and fears inside her heart. Outside, Hùng stood motionless, his fists clenching. He tried to hide his worry, but his eyes never left them. And in that quiet moment, he realized, all the hardships he had endured meant nothing compared to the fear of losing the smile and the first words of this little boy. Inside the small examination room, the fluorescent light cast a pale glow over the faded mint green walls. On the doctor's desk, medical files were neatly stacked beside a small plastic model of a child's ear, nose, and throat. The soft ticking of a clock blended with the muffled cries of children from the next room, filling the space with a still, heavy quiet. Tony sat obediently on a tiny plastic chair, his little legs swinging back and forth as his curious eyes wandered around the room. The doctor crouched down, speaking gently while holding up a small toy ambulance that jingled as he shook it. "Tony, can you hear this sound?" The bell jingled ding-ling-ling. Tony turned his head toward the sound, his eyes lighting up with awareness. The doctor smiled, jotting down a few notes, then said in a calm but confident tone, "He responds very well to sound. He's not hearing impaired, just experiencing delayed speech. With early therapy, his chances of recovery are excellent." At those words, Lythica froze. The fabric of Tony's shirt trembled slightly in her trembling hand. Her eyes welled up, her breath catching in her throat. That's such a relief," she whispered, as though speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile hope just rekindled in her heart. Tears streamed down her cheeks, tears of gratitude and release. Standing beside her, Hung leaned down and gently squeezed her hand. "I told you," he murmured softly, "Tony's going to be fine." His voice carried quiet strength, though his eyes glimmered with emotion he tried hard to contain. Ever since learning of Tony's condition, Hung had secretly spent nights researching, calling doctors, and burying his own fears just to keep peace in Lythica's heart. And now, hearing the doctor's words, it felt as though the weight of the world had finally lifted from his shoulders. The doctor nodded kindly and continued. "Our hospital has a short-term training program for children with speech delays. If you can manage, I'd recommend letting him stay a few weeks for daily therapy sessions. He'll work with a speech specialist focusing on ear, mouth coordination and language response. Kids his age usually make quick progress." Hung nodded, asking for more details, while Lythica stayed quiet, her gaze fixed lovingly on her son. Tony tilted his head and smiled up at her, just a small smile, but enough to make her heart overflow. She touched his cheek and whispered, "You're so brave, Tony. Mommy knows you'll talk soon." "I know it." Outside the window, the evening sun had already faded, leaving only soft traces of light across the hospital courtyard. A gentle breeze rustled the white curtain, carrying with it the faint scent of antiseptic, and a deep, newfound calm that filled their hearts. A new chapter had begun, one of faith, hope, and healing, all starting from 3 simple words. "Tony is fine." That night, in the small hospital room reserved for patients' families, a single dim yellow bulb hung from the ceiling, casting a soft, weary light. The air was still, filled only with the low hum of a fan and the steady breathing of those asleep on the nearby beds. On the old metal cot, Tony lay quietly between his parents. His tiny face glistened with a few beads of sweat, his breathing calm and even, stirring only now and then. From the hallway window, a faint beam of light fell across his peaceful face. He looked like a little angel wrapped in the safety of sleep. Hung sat against the wall, eyes fixed on his son. In his gaze were love, relief, and a trace of regret, for all those months he had feared he'd come too late to make things right for Lythica and the boy. His voice was low, warm, just loud enough for her to hear. "I'll ask for some time off, stay here with you too. I don't want to miss the moment he says his first word." The words hung softly in the quiet, like a vow. His eyes lingered on Tony's small face, as though he wanted to memorize every breath, every tiny movement of the child he loved as his own flesh and blood. Lythica leaned gently against his shoulder. Her hair fell loosely, carrying the faint scent of pomelo blossom shampoo, mingling with the warmth of his steady frame. "On," she whispered with a smile, her voice trembling but tender. As long as you're here, everything feels worth it. Hung turned toward her, his eyes softening. He reached out and took her hand, giving it a light squeeze. No more words were needed, just the silence between two souls who had weathered so many storms, now finally sharing a moment of true peace. Outside, the first rain of the season began to fall. The soft patter on the tin roof echoed like a lullaby, stretching into the night. The wind slipped through the window cracks, carrying the earthy scent of wet soil and the faint sweetness of milk flowers from the courtyard below. Within that gentle rain, Ca closed her eyes, listening to the rhythm of Hung's heartbeat and Tony's soft breathing, blending into one. A small family of 3, holding on to each other through the hardships, walking slowly toward a future filled with light, and the laughter of their child. The rain kept falling outside the eaves, a soothing song for those still hoping. And somewhere, deep in Tony's dreams, perhaps, a tiny sound was beginning to form. A whisper of "ba" or "me," small and fragile, but warm enough to light their whole world. The next morning, sunlight filtered softly through the thin hospital curtain, casting a warm glow across Tony's rosy cheeks. Inside the therapy room, the little boy sat facing the specialist, a small rubber ball in his hands. He made a few broken, hesitant sounds, but they were clearer than the day before. The doctor stood nearby, watching closely as he took notes. A faint, approving smile appeared on his face. "He's responding very well," he said gently. "A few more sessions like this, and I'm sure we'll see great progress. His reflexes and attention span are both excellent." Tears welled up in Ca's eyes. She turned to Hung, her expression overflowing with emotion, as if her eyes were saying, "See? Our boy can do it." Hung only nodded, his smile calm and deep. He reached out, giving her hand a quiet, reassuring squeeze, sharing the joy that words could never express. By noon, after Tony was brought back to the family room to rest, Ca stood up and tucked the blanket around him. "You stay here with him, okay? I'll go get some porridge and milk. The doctor said he needs to eat a bit more at lunch." "All right, be careful," Hung replied, taking out a neatly folded stack of bills from his wallet. "There's a few million here, take it. For hospital fees and food for the boy." She accepted the money, placing it carefully in her crossbody bag before heading out. Outside, the city was alive, sunlight spilling onto the streets, car horns echoing endlessly. She walked along the sidewalk and stopped by a familiar porridge shop. "2 servings of minced pork porridge, please, and a bottle of fresh milk." Her smile was light, her heart lighter still. She thought of Tony's bright face that morning. "My baby's going to talk soon." The thought alone filled her with warmth and quiet happiness. But as she stepped out of the shop, everything changed in an instant. Whoosh! A sharp gust of wind brushed past her ear. Before she could even react, a motorbike sped up from behind, and yanked her bag violently off her shoulder. The sudden pull threw her off balance. "Thief! Stop him! Someone stop him!" Her voice cracked, desperate, lost in the roar of the crowd. People turned, some startled, others merely stepping aside. The motorbike shot through the intersection and vanished around a smoky corner, leaving behind a torn bag strap and a few scattered papers fluttering on the asphalt. Ca fell to her knees. Her palms were scraped, her knees stung. Around her, the city's noise swelled, horns, shouts, engines fading into the distance. She trembled, whispering through quivering lips. "Tony's money, his medicine money." Tears streamed down, mixing with sweat and dust. That money, it wasn't just cash. It was nights of Hung staying up late, taking extra shifts, saving every bit for their son's treatment. And now, All she could do was clutch the empty space where her bag had been, feeling her heart drop with it. A passerby rushed over, helping her up. "Miss, are you all right?" Lythica shook her head weakly, voice breaking. "No. I'm fine, but my son's money, it's gone." She lifted her eyes toward the road where the thief had disappeared, her gaze hollow, filled with helpless despair. In the middle of the crowded city, she stood small and fragile. Her hands scraped and bleeding, her heart trembling not out of fear of loss, but of something far greater. The fear that she might no longer have enough to save her child. In the hospital courtyard, Hung sat quietly outside the patient room, his eyes fixed on the sleeping figure of Tony. The intercom echoed faintly through the hall, and then, cutting through the background noise, came the urgent voice of a security guard rushing toward him. "Officer Hung. There's been a bag snatching at the front gate. They say it was a young woman in a green shirt, looks just like the lady who came with you this morning." At that moment, Hung's heart stopped. He jumped to his feet, not even bothering to grab his jacket, and sprinted toward the hospital entrance. His footsteps pounded against the tiled floor, his chest tightening with every beat, the image of Lythica flashing through his mind like a knife twisting in panic. When he reached the gate, a small crowd had already gathered. And there, sitting collapsed on the curb, was her. Her hands were trembling, her hair disheveled, her knees scraped and bleeding. Papers were scattered across the pavement. "Lythica!" Hung shouted, rushing over and pulling her into his arms. "Are you hurt? What happened?" She looked up, eyes red and swollen, her voice breaking between sobs. "Hung, the money's gone. I couldn't hold on, the hospital fees, the medicine, everything." Tears mixed with the dust and sweat on her scratched hands as she cried helplessly. Without another word, Hung wrapped his arms around her, holding her tight. "It's all right. Don't be afraid. We can earn the money again, what matters is our son." His voice was hoarse, but every word firm, both a reassurance to her, and a quiet command to himself. He crouched down, checking her injuries, then took off his jacket and gently wrapped it around her bleeding knee. "Stay here and rest. I'll ask security to check the cameras." Standing up, Hung turned to the guard nearby, who was already fumbling with a walkie-talkie. "Please review the CCTV near the main gate, especially the east intersection. We need that motorbike's license plate." "Yes, sir," the guard replied quickly. "We're pulling the footage now." The bike was fast, but camera 2 should have a clear angle. Hung nodded, his expression sharpening, the calm precision of a police officer taking over. Gripping his phone tightly, he spoke in a low, steady tone. "Once we have the plate number, I'll notify the criminal unit. They won't get away with this." Then he turned back. Lythica was still sitting where he left her, staring blankly at the road where the thief had vanished. He knelt beside her again, his voice soft but resolute. "Listen to me, all right? Don't think about it anymore. The money's gone, but I swear, I'll get it back. Right now, you need to rest. Tony needs his mom." She nodded faintly, her body trembling as she leaned into his shoulder. The street around them buzzed with noise, horns, voices, rushing engines, but in that moment, the world seemed to fall silent. There were only 2 people left. A mother shaking through her tears, and a man holding her close in the chaos of the city, whispering a quiet but unbreakable vow. "I won't let anyone hurt you or our son again, not ever." Inside the security room, the monitors flickered as the footage replayed in fast motion. The bluish glow from the screens cast sharp light across Hung's tense, focused face. Beside him, Lythica sat silently, Her fingers interlocked so tightly that her nails dug into her palms, and she didn't even notice. The air was thick, heavy with worry. Only the low hum of the fan and the guard's muttering broke the silence. "It's a scooter, can't see the rider's face clearly. Looks like the plate starts with 19, but the last digits are blocked." Hung clenched his jaw, forcing himself to stay calm. He turned to the guard, about to discuss reporting the incident to the local police, when a familiar voice came from behind. "Please don't worry too much." Both turned around. It was the young doctor from that morning, still holding a folder of files, his face kind and composed. He stopped at the doorway and spoke gently, yet with quiet certainty. "I just heard what happened. Our hospital has a support fund for children with special conditions, especially for families facing sudden hardship. If you're willing, we can arrange temporary financial assistance for little Tony's treatment." For a moment, Lythica froze. She couldn't believe what she'd just heard. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time not from fear, from sheer gratitude. "Doctor. I don't know how to thank you enough," she said, her voice trembling as tears streamed down her cheeks, hands clutching the hem of her shirt. The doctor shook his head with a gentle smile, his gaze full of empathy. "There's no need to thank me. What matters now is that Tony continues his therapy. I've seen how well he's responding. Don't let this incident interrupt that." Hung stood and stepped forward, gripping the doctor's hand firmly. "Thank you. My family owes you and the hospital more than we can ever repay." The doctor smiled softly. "I'm just doing what's right." Then he turned to the security guard. "When you get clearer footage of the bike, let me know. I'll pass it to the hospital's security team. They work closely with the local police." As the doctor walked away, Lythica watched him go, a strange warmth filling her heart, a comforting light in the middle of what had felt like total collapse. She turned to Hung, whispering, "You see, there really are still good people out there." Hung nodded, gently squeezing her hand. A tired but genuine smile spread across his face. "Yeah. Heaven never takes everything away." Outside, the rain had stopped. The golden glow of late afternoon bathed the hospital courtyard, casting their shadows long across the wet ground. And there they sat, two people who had endured so much, still holding hands, because hope, no matter how fragile, had never left their side. That afternoon, the last rays of sunlight streamed through the glass window, spilling a soft golden hue across the floor of the therapy room. Tony sat on a small chair, facing a board covered with familiar pictures: a cat, an apple, a car, a bright sun. The speech therapist held up one of the cards, her voice gentle as a breeze. "What's this, Tony?" The boy tilted his head, eyes fixed on the picture of the cat. His lips moved slightly. A moment of silence stretched, only the ticking of the wall clock could be heard. Then, so faint, like a breath carried on the wind, Tony whispered, "Mio." The entire room froze. The therapist stopped mid-motion, eyes widening in surprise. Hung went completely still, while Lythica, her hands flew to her mouth, tears bursting forth like a dam breaking. He spoke. My Tony just spoke," she cried, her trembling hand reaching out to touch her son's shoulder. Hung stepped forward, kneeling down in front of the boy, his voice shaking with emotion. "You said it, my boy, you really said it, didn't you, Tony?" The little boy turned, looking up at his father, a pure, innocent smile spreading across his face. Sunlight glimmered in his clear eyes, the eyes of a child who had just found the first doorway to reach the world. The young doctor standing nearby, still holding the medical file, smiled softly. "You see, you may have lost your money, but today, you've received something priceless. Lythica could only nod, her throat too tight to speak. She pulled Tony into her arms, kissing his soft hair that smelled faintly of sunshine. Tears still streamed down, but now they were the sweetest, most joyous tears of her life. Hung placed a steady hand on her shoulder, squeezing gently. After all the hardship, all the loss, they had finally reached this moment, where a single small word became a miracle. Outside the window, dusk settled over the hospital courtyard, painting the sky a warm honey gold. The wind rustled the trees, carrying the faint scent of milk flowers through the open window, calm and tender. In that little room, the three of them sat quietly together, smiling through the fading light of evening. No words, no promises, because that one tiny word, mio, was already enough. Enough to make them believe that every struggle had been worth it. And that miracles are born from love. That night, in the small dormitory room, the soft yellow light cast gentle shadows across the wall, illuminating two people sitting quietly side by side. Tony was fast asleep, his face peaceful and serene after an emotional day. His steady breathing blended with the light patter of rain outside the window, creating a soothing lullaby that wrapped the room in calm. Lythica sat beside him, gently brushing her son's hair before reaching for Hung's hand. "I was so scared," she whispered, her voice trembling softly. "But now I realize, losing everything doesn't matter. As long as our child is safe, I can endure it all." Hung looked at her, his eyes filled with both tenderness and pride. He tightened his grip on her hand, his voice low and steady. "Tomorrow, I'll report the case to the police and ask them to track that motorbike. Then I'll pick up some extra work. Once we have the money again, things will be fine. I know we'll get through this, as long as we're together." Lythica nodded quietly, resting her head on his shoulder. Outside, the hallway lights stayed on. The soft footsteps of a nurse echoed faintly in the distance. Between those ordinary sounds lingered a fragile peace, the calm after days of storms. They sat in silence, listening to the rain tapping gently on the tin roof, as if whispering that every storm eventually passes, so long as love remains to hold things together. Stay tuned for the next episode, when the police report that they've located the motorbike involved in the theft. But the shocking part is, the bike's owner turns out to be someone from Hung's past, uncovering a truth that will turn everything in an unexpected direction. Who do you think was behind the attack on Lythica? Leave your predictions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next heartfelt chapter of this journey.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hiện tại thì mình đang làm video về câu chuyện quản lý Hoài Ca. Hôm nay thì Hoài Ca và Hùng đưa Tony đi khám ở bệnh viện, nhưng mà một điều không may đã xảy ra. Trong lúc Hoài Ca đi mua đồ ăn thì đã bị giật mất tiền. Giờ mình đang đặt tên cho video. Tối nay thì mình sẽ lên video, hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ theo dõi và ủng hộ cho kênh mình nhiều hơn. Hôm vừa rồi đi chấm vân tay, vợ chấm vân tay ra vân tay của vợ không có một cái gì luôn.